Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon. Today we're taking a look at Star Wars The Clone Wars, aka Pandemic Star Wars. This is a Star Wars game by Z-Man Games using the Pandemic system. This one was quite a surprise for me. I had no idea this was coming out. I believe at this moment, for as far as big box stores it's a Target exclusive, but I have started to see them popping up in your friendly local game stores and some of the kind of online smaller board game retailers. But if you are looking for it, I would certainly look at Target first. So this one's got some miniatures, so we're going to take a look at those certainly. And from what I have heard and can see, quite a boring game board. But it kind of uses the same pandemic system with the invasion cards, where you're going to be putting droids out instead of germs or viruses and things like that. And as as the game ramps up, you're going to be continuing to place them out in the various locations. But what you have here is some villains who are going to be bosses who are going to be kind of going around the board and adding to the difficulty. You also have missions that you'll go on specifically to advance the agenda, so you can go after the boss in the final showdown. So yeah, it looks like it's some pretty good gameplay. We'll have to see about the quality of the components right now. The rule book seems pretty straightforward here. There is a note on solo play specifically, so it looks like you can play completely solo, which is nice, but I've played Pandemic myself plenty of times, 2- and 3-handed. It's very straightforward, very easy, so I would imagine this one is as well. Alright, so this is the game board, which is wrapped. We don't see this that often, but that's fine. Means it's hopefully protected. And there you can see underneath, while I am unwrapping the game board here, the miniatures. So in just a second here, we will take a look at those, but I did just want to give you guys a brief look at the game board and just kind of talk about the elephant in the room. So here is just a rough shot of the game board here. Let's see if we can get this to pop up here. And it's functional. It's fine. I like that there's places around the outer edges of the boards to place your decks. There's a little reminder in the corner over here for your player turn, what you need to do. But what I've heard people say, and I tend to agree. Now, the original Pandemic board was nothing to write home about. It was basically like just a picture of the globe with various points of interest highlighted and connected with the lines. So this is really not much worse than the original Pandemic board, but I feel like at this point they really could have taken it a step further. Like, how do I know this is Corellia versus any other planet? The only ones that really seem like they make sense is maybe Tatooine, because it looks very sandy. And then way down here, you can see Coruscant. Looks like Coruscant does when we see it from space in the movies. But other than that, it's like they could have just picked any random color scheme and thrown it up there. And I don't know what Rhodia looks like from space. I guess Camino is a water planet, so that makes sense. But, I mean, who knew what Nal Hutta looked like from space? You could have made it green instead of whatever that color is. So I feel like they really just kind of mailed it in as far as the board is concerned. But we're not here for the artwork necessarily. We're here for the Pandemic system with a Star Wars theme on it. So let's move on here. So we have a whole bunch of cards. We'll take a look at these here in a second. And we have some villain dashboards. So it looks like 4 villains. The villains are going to be in purple here. Nice that they made the colors different. So you have Asajj Ventress, you have General Grievous, Maul, Darth Maul, and and Count Dooku, who during setup he actually puts out Grievous and Ventress out onto the board. So I'm guessing you probably have to defeat them before you can even get to him. It doesn't look like there is necessarily a rating for which ones are harder than others. I do know that they recommend, however, starting with Asajj Ventress if it's your first game. So maybe inside the rulebook they let you know which ones to start with. So, all right, here is the rest of the components hiding under here. Decent little storage solution here, considering half of it is for the miniatures. All right, so this is nice, and I've seen this in a lot of other pandemic games, like the Rapid Response had really nice acrylic tokens. So these could have easily been cardboard, but they're not. So this is where your missions are going to be. These are going to be for your various trackers on the board. And then I know this one goes along with the villains. I'm not sure what this token does. It must be for one of the heroes. It's a lightsaber, obviously. So maybe one of the heroes has an action that you would want to place a token down on. Then we have a whole big bag of pretty small, but I'm okay with that, really. They easily could have used just cubes or something. But, yeah, it's like, various droids. So this is, Clone Wars era. So the Roger droids. And they're even, at least 2 or 3. Yeah, I'm seeing 3 at least, just at a glance, different styles. I'm pretty sure they're all the same. You can put them all out the same. They are small, but there are going to be instances where you probably are going to have a handful of them on a planet. So I'm okay with that size. I'm certainly not going to be attempting to paint those. These guys look like they could probably be painted. Again, we'll take a look at them here in a second. All right, so you have these blockades, which kind of beef up the defense of a location. You can't do much until you've gotten rid of the blockades. So these are nice, beefier miniatures. Then you have a slider. This is going to be on, like, say, Darth Maul, his power track. Other people may use this. So that's that piece. And then you have this very chunky D. Is this a D20? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's a D12. Very chunky D12 here. You're going to be rolling this out anytime you either attack, droids on a planet or attack a villain. Also to try and gain a mission. So these stars are successes. They're either hits or successes on a mission. But then you also have these bursts, which are damage. So if you roll this out, well, that's a miss. There, that's 2 successes, no damage back to you. But you could say roll this one. That's 3 successes, but you're also going to take a damage back. We'll talk about that here in a second. So while we've got these out, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these miniatures, starting with General Grievous here. So not bad. These are definitely, smaller scale. This is not like 28 to 32 scale, which is kind of standard with the 1-inch circular base. These would probably be tricky to paint, I would say. Definitely plastic, which is probably better, because at some point my kids are going to get their hands on these. So pretty flexible, but decent amount of detail. And this is it's not a cheap game by any means, but it is meant to be a mass market game. So who else can we get out here? Where's the classics that people want to see? So here's Yoda. He doesn't even get a lightsaber. Teeny tiny guy. So again, I do appreciate that they put like the Jedi in one color. Not that you're gonna forget about Yoda, but let's see. So who's this? This is your Anakin. Yeah, so here's Anakin Skywalker. Again, it's a decent miniatures for a mass market game. I just really don't like how small the bases are, because it just means they're going to get knocked over pretty easily. Or even like that. There we go. So who's this one? Oh, so Mace Windu. And so this must be Obi-Wan. Classic Obi-Wan pose. Ahsoka. Classic Ahsoka pose with the dual lightsabers. I don't think she ever connected them, did she? Like Darth Maul did. Here's Darth Maul. With, yes, he appears to be Darth Maul with the robotic legs. So this is Darth Maul from the cartoon era. All right. So there's a look at some of the miniatures. Let's zoom in here and take a look at all the cards. Okay, first off here, we actually have the player aid cards, which it's a nice touch that, you know, they basically tell you what actions you can take as per typical pandemic. It's not an overly complicated set of actions you can take. You basically get 3 of them. But on the back side is, it tells you where your starting position is. So if you were dealt this one at random, you would start at Kamino, whereas this one you would start at Naboo and Kashyyyk. All, you know, rebellion friendly planets, except Coruscant, I guess. But I thought that was a nice touch. So you basically, everybody gets a player aid card, whether they know how to play the game or not, and that's going to tell them where their character starts. Speaking of characters, here are the Jedi characters that you can control, and each one of them has a kind of a special action. So Ayla Secura here has a free action. She can move up to 2 planets, which is quite a good amount of movement. Obi-Wan Kenobi has a free action, can draw 4 squad cards, then place 3 of them on the bottom of the deck in a random order, so he basically is drawing one. Luminara here as a free action, draw 2 squad cards, then either discard one of them or give it to another Jedi on your planet. Okay. Mace Windu, move up to 3 droids to your planet from connected planets. So he's like, come to me so I can kick your ass. Anakin Skywalker can attack. You can use any of your cards as if they were red during this attack, and we'll talk about those here in just a second. Yoda gets to move another Jedi up to 2 planets, so helpful, not if you're not playing solo. And Ahsoka Tano, exhaust up to 2 cards for each, deal 1 damage on your planet or a connected planet, which is nice. So nice touch. As per normal pandemic, all of your characters basically have like a special ability. So there you go. All right, so we talked about you know, drawing what was squad cards and exhausting squad cards. So these are your squad cards. Obviously these are going to be shuffled up, but you can see it's a mixture of a few allies in here, which don't necessarily have a color. But these guys all are going to, you know, they have different artwork, which is nice, and the names based on the characters from the show. But these guys are all, in this section, first section here, they're all assault troopers. Okay, so even though this one's Cody, each one of them say add a star, add a hit or a success to an attack on your planet. So I guess it has to be an attack, cannot be trying to do a mission. And this is add an attack on your planet. So there's assault and stealth, and I guess that's the two different style of clone troopers. So both of them are you can exhaust them to add an attack. The trick is, though, is that when you are on a attacking or on a mission specifically may say, all right, you can use red or purple or both or only one or the other. But when you're just attacking, say, droids on a planet, you have to choose, am I going to go the assault way or am I going to go the stealth way? And say you have 3 assault players and 2 stealth characters on your team, then you could choose to, you know, tap all 3 of these to get 3 additional hits, or maybe you only need 2, so you're going to tap stealth and keep your assault for a different action. So that's what Anakin was talking about, that Anakin can treat his stealth troopers as assault troopers. Then you also have, say, transports here. They're going to allow you to move additional spaces during your move action. And then you have armor cards, which prevent damage. So we already talked about how damage can be given to a character. These are going to prevent that damage. And then we have allies that each have their own special ability, and looks like you discard most of them when you're done with them. But the armor prevents that damage. If you actually take damage as a character, your Jedi doesn't, take physically any damage. What you have to do is discard a card from your hand here. So if you can block one incoming damage, that's one less card you have to get rid of and then draw back up, which again costs an action. Then you have your standard pandemic style cards. So there's going to be one of these for each planet on the board. Nice little icon here in the lower right corner that shows you where on the board you should look for that planet. And this is simply going to be where you're going to add droids during that phase of the game. This is truly the pandemic system and how these cards operate and work. Next we have missions. So a decent chunk of missions here, and depending on how difficult of a game you want to make, you would set out anywhere from, I think, 2 to 3 to 6 plus. But this is going to give you a location that you need to get to, but also is going to give you, this is going to tell you what cards you can use to gain successes, how many successes you need to get, and you're going to take 1 automatic damage for taking on this mission. So when you go there, you want to make sure you have a decent number of these 3 cards in your deck. And what's also nice is that you can, if you're playing with multiple players, they can also exhaust their cards as well, as long as they match these icons. So you can see that, like Conspiracy here, it's a much lower number, but you can only use stealth troopers in your Conspiracy mission on Camino. Again, you'll shuffle these up, you'll draw some at random at the beginning of the game, and that's where these tokens come in, because you can only have 2 active missions at a time. So one of these goes on one planet. That just reminds you where to go to complete your missions. And then last but not least, we have a unique deck of cards for each of the villains in the game. I'm not going to go through these in detail because these could be somewhat spoilerish if you were interested in having these guys review themselves in dramatic fashion. But you can just see for Asajj, her very first card here, when you would flip this over for her, it says advance the invasion marker, draw the bottom card of the invasion deck, and fill the matching planets to 3 droids, shuffle the invasion discard pile. So basically, she's doing one of those whole critical outbreaks. Not all of her cards are going to look like this. They're all different, but this just kind of shows you how the villain ups the ante for during the game. And that's going to do it. That is everything there is. A decent amount of cards here. Decent miniatures for the game. So that's a nice touch. They easily could have done standees. Trying to think what I've seen in the past for most people. Meeples or something like that. But anyways, decent components so far. The bases are a little small on the miniatures. I feel like the size of the miniatures are fine, but I don't know why they made the bases so small. Same thing with these pack of droids here. I'm okay with the size of them, and I guess the size of the base makes sense for these, but I feel like they're just going to get knocked over a lot. Anyways, that's going to do it for our unboxing of Star Wars The Clone Wars Pandemic System game. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And if you'd like to see more content, including, I'm sure I'll do a Star Wars The Clone Wars how to play video and possibly playthrough, please consider subscribing to the channel. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.